that to one side. Hello. Today we're going to look at how to restring a nylon strung guitar, or a concert guitar, or a classical guitar, or whatever the heck you want to call it. Let's look at the tools for the job. I've got a nice soft cloth laid out on my table here. That's essential. Bath towel is perfect, actually. Now, what do we need? A set of strings. I use Savarez strings, high tension. That suits my guitar. They sound great. Mess around with strings. They're fairly pricey, but you usually pay for what you get what you pay for. I've got a pair of very sharp, snippy pliers, pair of scissors, some quite tame furniture polish, nothing too strong, nice clean duster, some essential oil, more about that later, kitchen towel for wiping down, and a windy windy thing. These are fantastic, and they are actually called a windy windy thing. The guitar that I'm going to restring is utterly beautiful. This is my signature model built by a wonderful man called Gary Hearn. It's unusual with the front sound holes in a different place, but it needs some new strings. And putting new strings on your guitar is a chance to clean it up, a chance to completely revitalise the sound of the instrument, and also revitalise the way that it feels when you play it. And that's really not to be underestimated. It's a treat for the guitar, and it's a treat for you as well. Do it as often as you like. Those are old strings. Now, I'm going to start by taking off the old strings. This guitar is incredibly strongly built. It is not going anywhere in terms of its structure. However, I'm still slackening off the top and the bottom string. I'm going to take the strings down in pairs. I don't want to give this lovely guitar a neck ache. I wouldn't want to do that, don't want to upset it. There you go, there goes one. Yay. And I'll do that with the others as well. If you have an older guitar, or a guitar that's got a floating fingerboard, or anything that's slightly more sensitive, I wouldn't recommend taking all the strings off. You've got to be confident. I'm good friends with this guitar, and it lets me do this. Oh, I can feel those strings. They're really, really worn out. I can feel the dent of the frets. So just the two remaining strings now. Get the B string off there. The middle two strings. I'm going to slacken them off a little bit more carefully. It's the last bit of tension on the neck. I like to think my guitar can relax when the strings are off. Imagine holding a set of strings all that time. Just going to thank God for that. Get that tension off my neck. There we go. There we go. Just feel the tension in the nut there. I don't want the nut falling out. Right. And last of all, the G string. I'll be quite careful here because I don't think it's going to fall out, but I don't want that saddle falling out. Make sure the nut is in the centre. These can move around the saddle. You can take out and you can adjust the action. You see there's a little bit of string packet sticking out under mine where I've ever so slightly raised the low end there. That's back in the centre. Now let's take these strings off and put my glasses on. Get these off one at a time in the bin. The bottom strings are quite, that metal winding leaves you in danger of scratching the top, so just be a little bit careful as you're taking them off. There we go. These come off a bit easier. If you look at the bridge of my guitar, this guitar's got, unusually it hasn't got a white bridge saddle. It's got this beautiful, it's actually made of snake wood. I think it makes my guitar look like a Baroque cello or a viol or something. Love it, very pretty. Right, there we are. There is one relaxed guitar, absolutely basking in not having its strings on. And I've got this quite gentle furniture polish, not much. I'm going to give it a really good clean up and a polish. You don't want to get too much polish on the guitar, and I'll check with Gary that this is okay. So think very carefully about what you're using. This is Douglas fir, the top of this guitar. It's very, very unusual construction, very unusual wood. I'm just going to put the saddle to one side there. There we go. It's really nice to be able to clean around the bridge because you can't really get to that very easily. And then the back and sides, once again, a nice polish up. This really, really makes a difference. Trust me. I see no point restringing the guitar unless you give it an absolute clean up. And the first time you pick it up, the day after you've strung it, it feels like $1 million. And it deserves to as well. It gives out beautiful things. So you need to recharge its batteries and your own by giving it some TLC. The neck on a guitar can feel so lovely. Or so horrible. If somebody's just made a marmalade sandwich and they have a go on your guitar, that's just not on, I say. The headstock, again, the headstock you can't really get access to normally because it's carrying the strings. That's clean, polished, smooth and shiny, and more beautiful than ever. Now we come to the fingerboard. The fingerboard gets most of the grime. This has done a few gigs. This is dirty. I always clean my hands before I play the guitar. That way you don't get sore fingers. It's the dirt on the string that gives you sore fingers. But still, I'm going to clean the fingerboard. Again, this makes the left hand feel really lovely when you're dancing up and down the frets. I'm going to put a tiny bit of essential oil. Now, an instrument maker will often clean a fingerboard with lemon oil. It's quite commonly used. I like the smell of frankincense. It makes my guitar feel like some kind of religious artifact. I open my case up and it smells like I spent 2 weeks at the Vatican. It's not too dirty. There's a fair bit of grime coming off there. Now this is going to make such a difference. All the way up, I do play up the dusty end as well. No dust up here. I love the fact that my frets are fairly evenly worn across all strings and all the frets. There we go. Now, clean, beautiful guitar, ready for its lovely new strings. So the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to stop the cameras and I'm going to go in the house and wash my hands because I don't want to get any of the polish or oil or anything on those new strings. We're going to move on to the next stage. Don't go away. I'm back. My hands are spotless. I like this bit. I've got an even cleaner duster here. I'm just going to give it a last clean off. Just make sure there's no polish anywhere, or it's all just ready. Now, where's my saddle gone? The bridge saddle is normally higher on the bass side. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a slope, and that slope means that there's more clearance on those bass strings. Just going to push that little shim. I've got a little shim in the slot there just to raise my bass side. It's not ideal. I'm sure Gary would tell me off. He'd probably want to make me a new saddle slightly higher. I think snakewood is quite expensive though. So I've just got a bit of paper under there. Don't tell anyone. Right. Okay. The guitar's had a rest. Sometimes I leave it overnight actually. Indoors, obviously, especially if it's raining. Don't leave your guitar out in the rain. Now we're going to start putting the strings back on. And with these Savarez strings, there's a little blue end. I need my glasses. Dear God. Okay. Start at the bridge end. Through the hole, coming out the back end. And then you bring the string round and you pass it underneath itself. And that is the sequence that follows. You've gone that way around the string and you're going to continue going that way around the string. If you can see this, I'm just going to do lots and lots of loops around itself. I'll show you in just a moment. You want at least 4 loops on that string. I think I've done more than that. Can you see that? I looped it round itself and I've gone round and round. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the knot tight. It's just like putting a fishhook on. And I'm just like Jack Hargreaves. Now the most important thing about this knot, is really, really important, that 1 or 2 of the knots are on this edge. If there's no binding on that edge where they're all bound around, then the string will come undone and it will just pull through. So I've pulled some of the winding down on that back edge, okay? Pulled it fairly tight, and I'm kind of holding it, but I'm now concentrating on getting the string through the hole in the tuning peg. And the string is going to wind in a particular direction, and that is over the roller. You go up and you go over the roller, so it winds that way. You don't want to wind it under the roller. Have you got me? So what I'm going to do to hold the string, I'm going to make it grip on itself. I've gone through the hole, back round, and now I just wound it around. Now hopefully you can see that. I'm not going to put it too tight, because as I wind it up with my special windy windy thing, I'm holding that and I'm going to wind it. I'm going to make sure that I wind down towards the outer edge of the guitar. So I want to leave room for the other strings. So I'm being quite careful there. That's wound on itself. Okay, not too much tension. I'm not going to snip that off yet in case my special knot comes undone. It has happened. There you go. A little bit of tension on there. Just to keep the excitement going. This is great. Beautiful new strings. Now on these strings they give you like a bendy end. There's some little bendy bits there. They've left you to do the knot. I'm not a big fan of that, but you know, I'm going to use them anyway. It's a bit fiddly on Gary's guitars. The hole is quite awkward to find. Just has to be that way. I'm going to very gently grab hold of that and pull through. There we go. Got to be gentle. This the soundboard on any instrument is membranous. It's just a membrane. It's like a drum skin or a speaker cone. You've got to be blooming careful of it. Now I don't do windings on my bass strings. I got this off Julian Bream. I noticed that he doesn't do it either. So I've gone out the back hole, around, and just passing under. Again on that back edge. It has to be on the back edge. And when you're putting the rest of the string on, you've got to keep that fairly tight, otherwise it will just flop out and you have to start again. In the hole, back, up again, come here, back up again, there we go. See it poking up? Now because these metal wound strings, nylon with metal windings over the top, they're very grippy anyway. I'm only going to pass the string over itself once, so let's give it twice. What the hell? You don't need to do so many windings up there because it will grip anyway. And once again I'm winding towards the edge of the peg box to leave room for the other strings to go up. A couple of winds on there. Have a little look around, check that's all okay. Sorted, on we go. Doing them in pairs, don't give your guitar neck ache. Let's get on with this one. Through the hole. There we go. Pulling off through. I've gone through the hole and I'm going to go back around the back. See that? I've gone around the back. And then you wind, and you wind, and you wind. I've got enough on there, I've got loads on there. Make sure the last few around the back. There we go, look. Very neat. Keep the tension on with one hand, stick it through the hole. Up you come. Around the back. The cameraman's making a terrible noise. I hope you can still hear what I'm saying. I don't know what on earth he's doing. Here we go. You all right, Peter?
Yeah.
Good man. Am I keeping you gripped? Here we go. Right, now that winding has been done. That's going to grip on itself. Now, don't be alarmed. I won't drop it. Get my windy windy thing on. There we go. I'm going to wind that more in the centre of the roller, so I leave room for the G string. There's the B string. And we move on to the A string. So we're doing it in pairs. We're more than halfway now. Ha-ha! That's great. Look for the flexi end. That's the flexi end. I'm not a big fan of the flexi end, you know. It always worries me that it's gonna start fraying. Get that through that hole. Through it goes. There we go. There we go. There we go. Right, so it's through the hole. I've got enough to make the loop. Make sure that the flexi bit, the skinny bit they give you, doesn't pass over the saddle. Clearly that wouldn't do at all. You end up snapping your strings then. Right, make the loop, make a little loop, and then neatly, you've got to put your finger on it to stop it all springing undone. And you stick the loose end under the string. And you should be able to pull it tight, and there you go. Just make sure that the loop is on that flat edge. Hold it tight. Where's my hole? There we go. Stick it through the hole. There we go. I normally do it much quicker than this, you see. I just did it really slowly so you can see what I'm doing. But, I wonder if anyone's shouting at you for watching this film for so long. What are you watching? It's a bloke stringing his guitar. What are you watching that for? You've got to know how to do it. It stops the guitar rattling. Stops it going out of tune. Strings are so expensive, you might as well put them on properly. There you go. Look at those two loopy bits and the two bindings. Aren't they lovely? Guitar's coming back to life. So slow resuscitation. Where's my blue end? Right, I'm going to put this end through the hole. There's not normally a right end and a wrong end, but with Savares there is. And you get a bit obsessed about all this stuff. Here we go. Round and round and round. It's a much thicker string. The G string is a strange beast, actually. A little bit more worm-like when you're trying to tie the knot. There we go. I've got the knots round the back. That's important. That will not pull through. Sometimes when a string pulls through its knot, it's because you haven't washed your hands before you change the strings and you've got some grease on it or something. Here we go. And then round and around. So I've got those windings on there. I'm going to crank that up. The last string, the D string. Here we go. That infernal hole. I'm trying to avoid the other string endings. I don't want those getting tangled up. So just do a little shimmy there to keep it completely on its own. There's your loop. Hold it tight. You know the routine. Up it goes. So we're through. Still trying to keep the tension on the bridge. Up it comes. Bit of a tug. Just wrap it around once or twice. Those bass strings are much friendlier for gripping. And just guide. This time I'm guiding the string towards the centre of the peg box, so the strings lie nice and straight. You can see there that I've run them off nice and straight. Those little touches that give you a little frisson, the satisfaction when you're playing. Now I'm not going to do snippage or tidying up at all. I'm just going to pull this thing into tune. Try and equalize the tension as you go up. Once again, be gentle on the neck of the guitar, even though this guitar is tough as old boots, it's so beautifully built. It's not going anywhere, but I'm still treating it with respect. Make sure I'm not winding in odds and ends. Digital tuner so I can begin to close in and do some accurate tuning. These modern strings are much quicker at going into tune, and they'll settle down more quickly as well. They've got clever modern composite materials that they're more in tune along their length. What I mean by that is sometimes you get an old string and it'll be perfectly in tune here, but it'll be horribly out of tune here, and it's really frustrating because you think, am I going mad? But it's just that the strings stretch unevenly occasionally. Modern strings are better from that point of view. Guitar's coming back to life. It's possible to give the strings a bit of a stretch. Don't pull the bridge off. Give them a gentle stretch just to help them settle in. Whoa. There we go. Everything's settling down. Okay, the next thing is to have a little look at tidying the thing up, because a tidy guitar won't rattle. Check that all my knots are staying in place. It's in tune, nothing's moving, no strings are pulling through. I trust myself that I've done a fairly okay job. So it's time to start snipping. I like the snipping bit, I like the noise the snippers make. So I'm just going to get these nice and close up in the peg box here. There we go. You don't want anything rattling. It rattles can be mysterious things. They're hard to locate sometimes. And if you can just keep it neat right from the word go. There we go, that's hanging down underneath. They're a bit long down this end. Just going to get myself a string packet, so I don't want to damage the top of the guitar here. So I'm just going to give these a little snip down here, ever so careful. I think that hit Peter then. There we go. I think that's okay actually. The others are fine. So here we have get it in tune over the next few hours. One perfectly clean, beautifully strung, very, very happy concert guitar. Now go and do yours.